We just did like this reaction to what's going on in the Ukraine war. Now, Ukraine riots amid energy blackouts. Apparently, Russia has been doing a number on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. They're like rationing basically energy, During the day, everything is turned off. During the nights, that's never they use the energy, but apparently they're just going on without any power right now. Let's check this out. And here comes the ad.
Now at Whataburger, you can get the new
What a burger.
single intact power station left in Ukraine. The most difficult situation is in Kiev, the Odessa region, and the frontline region. So basically all across the country except for the far west. Protests are now breaking out across Ukraine as residents are furious over a lack of heating and electricity and the inability to fund any repairs for the sub.
Keep in mind, this is Eastern Europe, basically, Ukraine. I understand they say the western part of Ukraine, the eastern part of Ukraine. For real, all of Ukraine is in Eastern Europe. It's freezing over there.
Substations. The wife of the former foreign minister saying that Ukrainians who are without power, without heating, the real way they should deal with their problems and their issues and the lack of heating, and maybe grandma is she's at risk of dying because she's gonna die of cold weather. She's sick. She's got the cold, no heating. What you should do is buy a bunch of her vibrators from her sex shop, and they're, I guess, self-heating, temperature regulating vibrators, and just cover yourself in the vibrators. Ukraine 2026 cannot make this stuff up.
There's no way she said that dumbass shit. Cold because no energy, warm up using vibrators. Ex-foreign ministers. Kulaba's wife. Is this bitch stupid? I'm telling you, man, like some people just don't give a fuck. This woman obviously does not give a fuck. You can't make that shit up right there. Warm yourself up with a sex toy.
Up, folks. Absolute clown show, but you already knew that. Ukraine is in one of the biggest crises that they've ever faced, and they effectively dug their own grave. They started
War torn country. I mean, like the Ukrainians that are still there, going on without power. Do you think that these are the wealthiest of Ukrainians? But they just got money to warm themselves up with your sex toy vibrators. I wonder if she's still living in Ukraine.
this whole thing by, and by this whole thing, I'm talking about this specific crisis of
I
energy.
doubt it.
Okay, Trump effectively negotiated a ceasefire on strikes on energy infrastructure. It was like the energy ceasefire moratorium, whatever they called it. They had some stupid name for it, okay? That didn't last long at all because immediately after the energy ceasefire went into effect, the energy infrastructure moratorium, what happened? Just hours after the agreement, Ukraine deployed drones to attack the Caspian Pipeline Consortium and the Krasnodar region. March 21st, earlier in the morning, Ukrainian drones attacked the Suja gas metering station in the Kursk region. March 23rd, Ukrainian military strike leaves 11,000 people without energy in Zaporozhye region, targeting an electric substation. It goes on and on and on. In the first 72 hours to 1 week after this energy infrastructure moratorium was signed into place and agreed upon by the Ukrainians, they just started targeting Russian energy infrastructure in mass, okay? And when they did that, everyone was like, you know, don't complain and cry when the same is thrust upon you, because there was an energy infrastructure moratorium in place. You violated it immediately, directly in opposition to what Trump had just struck in this deal for you to protect your energy infrastructure, right? Because Russia's not the one with energy blackouts right now, despite the fact that there are attacks, right? They don't have sweeping energy blackouts all across the country. Maybe some temporary issues on the frontline cities, like, in the Zaporozhye region, in the Donbass, but in their own country, no. In Moscow, definitely not. In St. Petersburg, definitely not. Right? Not one. Not one. But people were saying, don't cry when you have to pay the price. And now we are seeing that. And it's actually pretty incredible what is happening. So Ukraine struck Russian energy targets first and now faces blowback. The Kiev regime believed this would damage Russia and somehow halt its advance, disrupting its initiative on the front. Retired Foreign Intelligence SVR Lieutenant General Leonid Reshetnikov tells Sputnik. In response, they started taking hits. The point of Russian strikes on Ukrainian energy facilities is to paralyze the Ukrainian military-industrial complex, he stresses. So that's what we're seeing now. All right. And by the way, the U.S. has been helping Ukraine launch these attacks on Russian energy
The
facilities.
global thinker.
They've been helping with the drone strikes on shipping, gas, energy shipping, oil shipping. They've been helping with the attacks on energy infrastructure. Without the U.S., this would not be possible for the Ukrainians. And now that these attacks on Ukraine's energy infrastructure are taking place, they are freaking out. Ukraine has now lost all fully functioning power plants. Ukraine has no fully operational power plants left and has lost thousands of megawatts of generating capacity, according to Energy Minister and First Deputy Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal, however you say that guy's name. He also said there is not a single intact power station left in Ukraine. The most difficult situation is in Kiev, the Odessa region, and the frontline region. So basically all across the country except for the far west. So that is from Energy Minister Shmyhal. He blames a lack of preparation in some cities and announced increased electricity imports from the EU. But that's not the real reason, because obviously Ukraine knew that these attacks were going to take place. The problem is that through mass corruption and theft of public funds, all of the money that was supposed to be in place for repairs, allocation for repairs of the defense and energy sector, is now missing. All right. Protests are now breaking out across Ukraine as residents are furious over a lack of heating and electricity and the inability to fund any repairs for these substations.
Taxes
Okay.
chasing.
NABU, the U.S.-backed anti-corruption agency in Ukraine, charged another Zelensky crony who was deputy head of the office of president with large-scale embezzlement in the energy sector during the Russia-Ukraine war. He lives in Germany now in a lavish home, and he is suspected of $3.4 million in green tariff fraud in occupied territory. So the first man was Zelensky's right-hand guy to get prosecuted by NABU. What did he steal? He stole a bunch of money that was in place for securing the energy facilities across Ukraine. Where did he flee?
And another thing that a lot of people talks about, Ukraine is one of the most corrupt countries on earth. Zelensky's right hand man, or with the second in command, somebody had to resign from his position. I think the wolves are closing in around Zelensky. He'll probably go down as one of Ukraine's worst leader in all of history. One of the worst. They'll make movies about this guy in his blunder.
Fled to Israel. He now lives in Tel Aviv. Go figure. Well, despite all of this, Ukraine is now claiming that they need an energy ceasefire. Top power executive in Ukraine urgently demands energy ceasefire. Wow. Isn't that incredible? It's almost like we had an energy ceasefire, and as I showed you at the start of the story, Ukraine violated it immediately, over and over and over again. And now Russia's responding, and they're freaking out. They want an energy ceasefire, but you didn't agree to the first energy ceasefire. I mean, you did agree to it, but then you immediately violated it. So what are we doing here? It's like dealing with a bipolar or schizophrenic person, okay? It's so insane. It's so
This woman
insane.
again.
And, 60% of Kiev is without, heating and electricity. And this is a major problem. People are freaking out in Kiev. They're protesting against the government. It's so insane that now the former Ukrainian foreign minister, his wife, is suggesting that Ukrainians should keep warm with the vibrators that she sells because she has some sex toy company. Svetlana Pavelitskaya, who owns a sex shop, says that her store sells a heated vibrator. Quote, there are toys that regulate temperature, and we're promoting them now for cold evenings because they heat up to 38 degrees. If there's no heating, you can wrap yourselves in vibrators and keep warm, she says.
And for real, these people be sick freaks. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the wife of a former Ukrainian, prime minister. These people, they don't really give a damn about their own people. She's somewhere warm, getting fat, eating good, and the people out there in Ukraine who's not as lucky to have as much as her, who got to stay there in the country, and also, people don't want to leave the place where they're from, where generations of their family goes back. But you got this weird bitch right here promoting sex toys to warm people up during the cold evenings in Ukraine as there's a energy shortage. You can't make this up.
The state of Ukraine, earlier Kuleba, the former foreign minister, urged Ukrainians to go to restaurants during power outages. Okay? This is the wife of the former foreign minister saying that
Foreign
Ukrainians were without
minister, excuse
power,
me.
without heating, who just want to live their lives and don't want to have Zelensky ruling them. The real way they should deal with their problems and their issues and the lack of heating, and maybe grandma is she's at risk of Ukraine 2026. Cannot make this stuff up, folks. Absolute clown show, but you already knew that. You already knew that. What else is new? Before you leave, I want to say thank
You guys get inside the comments below. Let me just think about this. You really don't hear another side of this on mainstream media, like the position that Ukraine is really in. When you watch people like Jackson Hinkle or John Mersheimer or Jeffrey Sachs, which these people really be on independent media, excuse me, these guys really be on mainly independent media, but they do have credentials, I'd say. They do got, they would be in the know-how. I'm talking about people like Jeffrey Sachs and John Mersheimer, where they have relationships with different people all around the world. They read all of the newspapers. They read Russian newspapers, Ukraine newspaper, Israeli newspapers, not just newspapers, media in general. United States media, Western Europe media, the media in China, the media in different African countries. And they help put together a different picture on the state of events all around the world instead of just getting like this one narrow view inside of the media that you might be accustomed to. And you really don't even, because whenever you hear this thing, the president always says, like I said in the last video, fake news. Well, I mean, like, which news is fake? How many of the news stations are fake? I mean, it just gives you it gives you a different perspective of what's really going on out there inside of the world. I mean, can Ukraine win the war? Because it don't look like boots are going to be on the ground. And to tell you the truth, I don't think American boots should be on the ground in Ukraine. For what? Can they do it themselves? Does the American taxpayer have to, you know, fit that bill? Which it seemed like they might have been fitting the bill whenever Joe Biden was in office. $300 billion. And a lot of that, let me not say a lot, but some of that money was stolen. Why doesn't Ukraine, why doesn't, different countries in Europe fit that bill? Why won't they? Why won't they? They want Ukraine to, somehow turn it around. Well, I think that France, the UK, Germany, let them write the check. And also they can make deals so that they can afford it. They can go and buy United States Treasury notes. And they can use that money and give it to Ukraine and let them buy the weapons that they need or that they say they need, but they don't want to do that. I think they want the American people, the taxpayer, to fit that bill. But for what? For what? You guys get inside the comments below. Let me just think about this. It's not that you don't feel for the Ukrainian people, but here in America, we got other things that we could be dealing with right here domestically. They had $300 billion to send over there to Ukraine. Certainly, it wouldn't take $300 billion to maybe fix some of these potholes around here. Maybe give the children of America, a little bit of a better education. I'm not saying we got a bad education system, but maybe put some more people through college. You're sending it over there to Ukraine, so the Ukrainian men can die like like cannon fire on the front lines. In the last video, I saw that 85,000 Ukrainian men died to take 7 miles of land. How is that worth anything? No. Well, you guys get inside the comments below. Let me think about this. What do you think Zelensky's next move should be? Maybe it's time for elections to be held. I don't know.